everyone, and welcome to the Outside Noise Monthly Podcast, our non-paywall monthly podcast where we hash it out for Album of the Year.
Album of the Year?
Album of the Year!
That's not until next.
Album of the month.
Spoiler alert! We might talk about early frontrunners.
We might talk early frontrunners later on, but no, Album of the Month for October. I'm excited to sit down and chat with you guys. How's it going?
It's going good.
Great. I think I fucked up the intro last month, too.
That's okay. We've got 4 albums to talk about.
Yeah,
and
super
more,
excited.
But 4 main ones.
Yeah, we're talking about Inspirex by Why the Eye, Cool World by Chat Pile, Passing Stones by the Gallstones, and Box of Dark Roses by Mope Grooves.
It's Why the Eye by Inspirex.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I haven't switched my notes.
It's Why the Eye by
That's okay.
Inspirex.
You know, we're not professionals.
Yeah,
we're here to have fun, guys.
I'm bringing my best, and that's all I can ask for.
I love that we don't, keep it. We're just keep it rolling.
It's fine.
Keep it rolling.
Listen,
What
we'll
fucking
figure it out.
ever.
We'll figure it out.
And those, the names we just read out were read in order of the order that they came out. And we
decided.
picked all of these for Album of the Week. And the Album of the Week podcast in which we make that decision is on our Patreon.
Yeah. So if you want to check out how we came to these decisions, as for these being our favorite of the month, you can go there.
But assuming you didn't see that, we'll rehash what each of these albums are all about.
Oh yeah, we're jumping in.
Wait, first, did you guys notice my cool hat?
Oh,
do you guys like my hat?
Kaylin, that's a really sick hat. Where did you get it?
Good.
For the 3 or 4 people who listen to this audio only, Kaylin has a really cool hat on.
Rush over to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, go over to the YouTube channel. Actually, turn this shit off and go to the YouTube channel.
Don't go to the YouTube channel. Go to outsidenoise.org/store where you can find this hat yourself. Okay.
Adjustable sizing.
Very nice.
Hat, hand cut lino print.
Do you see this little metal clasp? We got the good hats.
Ooh,
and
quality.
Handmade. Love it. Okay.
Handmade-ish. We didn't make the hats. Anyway.
But we hand printed the hats.
Every time I say handmade, I'm like, somebody's gonna call me out.
We carved the stamps ourselves.
Yeah,
okay.
The stamps were, yeah.
Okay.
Shall we jump right in with
let's
our
jump in.
winner for October 4th, which is Why the Eye by Inspirex?
Yes.
Let's do it.
This is very cool. They described this album as, did they say prehistoric techno? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, something like that.
So cool. A lot of the instruments were also made by the artists. They're not conventional instrumentation.
Talk about handmade. This is
Yeah.
real
This is
deal.
actually handmade. We lie. Whenever we say our hats are handmade, we are not talking about the same handmade as these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
They've got some weird, there's a video that on their Instagram with a turntable and something where they're twisting knobs and shit.
Yeah, well, if you go, both on their Instagram and on their website, they have pictures of the instruments. I might put an overlay on the video here so you can see what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This was a great record that was super inventive, very creative, outsider art, the kind of thing that we like to cover, obviously, at Outside Noise.
Yeah. Very abstract, very fun. Covers a lot of ideas. Oh no, I moved all my notes around. Each twist and turn is kind of something different, and there's also a cohesiveness to it.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
For me, at least, whenever I hear homemade instruments, I think industrial, I think abrasive, I think noisy. And these people just made household instruments in the way that anyone for thousands of years has made household instruments.
Yeah,
they're just very, very. A lot of these instruments. Some of them are just completely wacky and off the wall. But they're folksy, warm, pleasant, all these things.
These
and then
noisemakers.
Yeah, and then they sequence them electronically and make this this really cool thing that we don't see a lot that's similar to. It's hard to even describe prehistoric techno. Sure, there's not really a lot of good ways to describe this succinctly because of how weird it is.
I do think that cavemen would love vibing to this.
Oh yeah,
So true.
Cavemen would be very excited.
It's
to
very
get their hands on this one.
caveman rave.
Love it.
And they would understand it. It wouldn't be like, what?
They're from Europe, right?
Belgium.
Yes.
Belgium, yeah. Well,
I think the band is also anonymous. They wear masks and
Yes.
costumes and stuff.
Yeah,
to
but we
kinda
know they're
go
from
with this.
Belgium. But their names are not associated with them.
maybe U.S. World Tour soon.
Yeah,
Seems
I bet
their
they're
live
fun.
performances are something very special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
As I can see, especially with all of the different types of instruments,
Yeah.
seeing them demonstrated live and coordinated like that.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So I think we like this album too, not just for the album itself, but for the entire universe of this band that we kind of found. Just super cool work that they're doing, and this is not their first
different
album.
than anything.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
been around for quite a while too, so they definitely deserve some love.
Yeah, they've gotten some recognition from their little like cult following, especially in Europe. Like Julia said, it's like if you see these people live, you like never let it go, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a really cool show. But yeah, gotta bring them some love across the pond.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. We also really loved Cool World by Chat Pile. That was a unanimous pick for all of us that week. I mean, pretty obviously, this is a bigger artist than what we normally cover. I mean, ever since their other album came out last year that really launched them. Yeah. That kind of launched them into quote unquote mainstream success.
Like another like
Yeah.
stratosphere, like another level. Yeah.
Right. Widespread recognition within the underground music scene.
Right.
would
It's like
be
your
better
dad
to say
hasn't
that.
heard of them, but some of your friends
you know.
might have.
Maybe if your dad's like really
Your dad's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, this album is just kind of a continuation of the themes that they talked about on God's Country, but sort of from a different perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it, I think, blows it out to the macro rather than.
Yeah. God's Country is very much the story of one person reacting to like inhumanity in their surroundings, and then Cool World is the connection between making the connection to the world at large. And it's all about, I mean, to me, there's ways you can read it. It's good poetry in that way. You can come away with your own interpretation, but to me it felt like connecting, like, why do I feel like shit, to people with the power to control your life don't care about you.
Yeah.
And you start noticing that they don't care about other people because it's more obvious, right? It's like whether they are allowed to be bombed indiscriminately or discriminated against in just civil society or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
Each of the barriers between them and you kind of fall away.
yeah, eventually you
and-
realize it will get to you, and it already has gotten to you, just not to the same level.
Right. You just recognize it with others.
Right.
Yeah,
You recognize it
because
with
it's
others
easier.
first, and then you're at first you're like, well, I'm glad I'm not them, but you're not them. But you there is the same apathy.
Right. Well, you're more like them than the people making the decisions.
Yeah.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And it reminds me a little bit too of the thing that I've seen like disability rights activists talk about, where it's like everyone one day will become disabled.
Right. And
Like at
that's-
one point
yeah.
in your life, you're going to have something happen to you.
Yeah.
That puts you into this marginalized category.
And it's
then
also
you're gonna care. Yeah.
And then you'll care. Yeah.
it's also like as the apathy spreads, like for instance, like this starts with like watching people get like I said, bombed indiscriminately, but then eventually people get like drafted and sent to the front lines, right? And then it's like then it comes home in a really major way, right? So it's like not that will happen, but I think the album actually uses, I mean, they don't say that explicitly, but they start directing the language of like disgust at like military conflicts towards themselves.
The inhumanity of the whole thing.
Yeah, as being like they want me to be there doing that because they do. They don't care.
Yeah. These guys are so smart. The songwriting is sharp also. All the instrumentation is great. I feel like their first album was pretty straightforward, just like heavy. And this album is heavy too, but I feel like they got a little more experimental with some of the choices they made.
Yeah.
First album is in God's Country.
Yes. God's Country.
Okay.
Sorry, I know they had like an EP or something.
Yeah.
that came
Yeah,
out
they've,
first
they've
too,
had
but
a bunch of
Yeah,
referring to
they've
their
got a
first full length.
right.
yeah.
God's Country.
Yeah, I would say the sound is a little bit more varied. They're not afraid to step out of their lane a little bit, but it's still the Chat Pile we know and love. When we went to see them, they almost came off as like more post-rock-ish.
Yeah.
I was very surprised of how that went down.
And very like performance also, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
But their performance in
Mostly
like a
the frontman.
post-rock way, yeah, like the
Yeah.
frontman is just stumbling around and kind of rambling
Shirtless
off
and-
script.
yeah.
And like screaming.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I will say each of their releases kind of follow a bit of a storyline.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, great stuff. And then the other album that we were going to talk about, Passing Stones by the Gallstones, is kind of similar, but more of a pessimistic kind
It's
of
also more
interpretation.
online.
It
It's
is
more
online
internet.
and grindy and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a
this
totally
is
different
cool, too.
album. Not to say that it's like the same album,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the commentary, I guess, is
This is
just
straight
kind
up
of-
grindcore with some like glitchy elements. And it I guess, yeah, if we want to compare it to Chat Pile is talking very explicitly about like macro issues in the world and how it pertains to you. And then the Gallstones are just like, look at all this shit. That's the extent of their commentary.
Yeah, I think they said it was like their mission was to create a microcosm of society. Like just
I
kind
don't
of
know if they said that, but that's definitely what's happening.
That's what's happening at least. Yeah, where even just like the weird electronic bits spliced in, it's like, I don't know, you can see it, a little model version.
And if you want to know what this album is really about, it's like, it's there in the titles, and you can barely make out what the vocals are saying.
Yeah, for sure.
But the it's there in the song titles, literally just one-off references to various acts of like political violence and just other just like horrific things that just happen and that we are exposed to all the time. Mm-hmm. And then if you really want to know what this is about, you go on Spotify, and you know how Spotify lets you attach like a GIF to the background of your song, and each one of them they hand selected like 27 different videos of deadly car accidents and attached to one for each song, so you get treated to literally the most horrific. I don't even know, like they just don't have a filter for this, I guess, on Spotify, but it's straight up just videos of people getting killed,
like dying.
Yeah. And it's just it just points at all of this insanity, just everything that we take for granted, and the just rising temperature of it all, and just says, well, look at that. Yeah. It doesn't take sides. It doesn't say you should be violent for this or this reason, or you shouldn't. It doesn't even condemn any of this violence. It's just like, that guy just died.
Yeah, and it feels like it's very much like pointing at it and kind of shining a spotlight on it, and not like glorifying it, or not being like, oh, wouldn't it be fucked up if...
Yeah,
like,
no, it doesn't
just
take a
like,
pro or con stance, which is very jarring. It's just like, this is happening. Yeah. Like, how the fuck is that your reaction to this happening? Just pointing at it.
I think we said this in like the podcast where we discussed the album, but it kind of does the thing where it says like, the people in charge are just as susceptible to this as you are.
Yes, you were talking about like these people have names and addresses.
Yeah, it's the implication of the album is like, it is
violence goes both ways.
Well, it's when you point out something as chaotic and horrible as just the mass violence that's like permitted by a society, there is an implication behind your pointing out of it, which is that it can happen to anybody, it can be used for any purpose, etc.
Like, and who is this perpetuated by?
Right.
So, it raises questions. This doesn't really answer the questions or ask them explicitly.
But this could be as close as you're allowed to get to even posing the questions, right? So
sure.
Yeah, this is step one.
Mad?
Yeah. Don't you want to do something about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Gallstones. We should also mention these guys are from Nashville, too.
They were a ray of light in our shitty little town.
And that they are also no longer a band.
They're also no longer a band. This is their final, their release show for the album was their last show. This is their last album.
Yeah, and it was just an insanely good, unique act coming out of Nashville. That
they were great. They would drive show attendance. People would go just to see them because they were great.
And I think the next album that we're talking about is also this group's last album too, possibly Mope Group.
I would imagine so.
And Box of Dark Roses.
Yes.
Yep. Portland, Oregon-based twee electronica with a deceptively cavernously deep meaning behind it, as not evidenced by the twee sound. I feel like twee gets slandered a lot for it being a nothing genre, but that's not what's happening here.
We got really deep into this on the weekly pod.
Yeah, which we only did a few days ago, so it's gonna be hard to like figure out what to come back to without making this a whole hour-long thing. But it was... Well, a lot of the conversation around this album is done for you. You can go on Bandcamp and click the link to their giant PDF of liner notes.
Yeah, written by the front woman herself. She
has died between the recording and release of this album.
I highly, highly recommend anyone listening to this to go read those liner notes.
Yeah.
before listening to anything we have to say about it too.
Yeah, because there is a bit in there also like making fun of music critics, so we gotta kind of acknowledge that up front. It's like,
well, right, and her intention being very clear with what the album is.
right. So
Yes.
basically, go
Not
read
really
it for yourself. Don't let us
Please not
read
open
it
to
to you.
interpretation.
Yeah, but
But
at
we
the
do
same
speak
time,
about it pretty objectively. Yeah.
yeah. At the same time, we can say some things about it.
Because we love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. That's not gonna stop me.
Right. Oh God.
No. I would say,
Yeah.
and what I said in my script for the video was that this lets you into a whole world that you may have never even thought of as people who struggled to remain gainfully employed. Disability is cited as a reason for this, which, that's a very common issue. Disabilities that will hinder you from getting a job, but don't put you on disability. So there's nothing for you there. So people it's a real life story about this person's lived experience of housing insecurity, of employment insecurity, and the only security that they really did have was their friends. It kind of lets you in and sits you at the little kitchen table with this group of people who are have nothing outside of each other and no help from any higher authority, and that's what the twee warmth is directed at here, is the way that these people feel about and help each other.
It's interesting too, looking at it in relation to these other 3 albums that we have talked about today, because it kind of reminds me almost as a total inverse of Cool World, where it's like this is the kind of downtrodden, the base of society that the government or whoever is not
just nobody
helping
cares. Yeah.
and is in fact actively discriminating against
Right.
and trying to make their lives harder. And this is whenever we can't have actual support systems because we live in a failed state, who do you turn to? And the answer is your family. Your found family, your mutual aid
Well,
systems.
your acknowledgement that it's a failed state suggests it's in the same universe as Chat Pile.
Right, yeah. This, to me, listening to them all together, I think there's a lot of relevance and crossover of the ideas.
Except
this
for
month.
Inspirex.
Except for
Exactly. Those guys were just cool. They were doing cool, right?
Yeah. But this one, to me, the ability to point at the things, how they affect you and how they affect your loved ones, personally, and being so vulnerable and having so much room for love and earnesty in all of it, it just created a nuance in their analysis of what's wrong. I don't know. I really loved it. I loved how they led with that while still having such a crisp handle on how they feel and many people feel and experience
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it is the inverse of a lot of the music that we have liked this year, where it leans into the anger and the chaos in sound and in content, lyrically. And I don't know, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, it's angry yet optimistic.
Yes, yeah.
And it's about trying to build something and improve things. Generally, I
the
think,
anger
instead
is
of just-
there, but it's hopeful.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it urges
And
us to
holding
lean
a
on
lot
each
at
other.
once.
And it's none of that corny change the world shit. It's
No,
very
no.
much like...
It's more change your neighborhood, change
It's
your
it's
block.
your found family is all you have.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody else is coming to save you.
Which is very anarchic too.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But that's this person's lived experience. It's
Yeah.
not like they were an anarchist and then decided to live this way. It's just that's
Right.
just
how it
that's
things
just how
work.
it is.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and again, it's not beating you over the head with this message. In fact, if you don't read the liner notes, I don't know how much of that I would have even gotten from the album necessarily
I mean,
without really close listening.
There's moments because they have the samples of just people talking about revolutionary.
Yeah, there's
a
lot
leaders who
of-
got arrested and stuff.
Yeah.
But
It gets pretty, it does get kind of heavy, but it doesn't necessarily sound that way.
yeah, and I wouldn't call it heavy-handed. I wouldn't call it annoying. In the
No,
way that
yeah.
you might think if you're listening to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Not heavy-handed, just like emotionally heavy.
Yeah.
Emotionally heavy, really beautiful, also like spiritually deep too.
Yeah.
The artist talks about a lot of that stuff in the liner notes too.
Yeah.
Beautiful record.
It was good and I liked it.
It was good and I liked it.
Rest in peace, Stevie.
Yeah.
Sad.
Great.
Very, very sad story. But go check it out. It's an incredible album.
Yeah. How we feeling?
Yeah, now we have to make
Now we have to make a choice, which is really hard.
I feel like these are all very strong standout albums, each for a different reason. And I think in any other monthly pod, they would easily be the winner. But I feel like there's one that's just above it for the rest for me.
I wonder which one that is.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Julie
she
just
hasn't even
goes,
talked to
I
me
think
about this,
there's
but I
an
know what it is.
obvious winner. Like
As
every
is
time.
everybody.
Unlike you guys.
Obvious.
No,
And
I think
Julia
last time I had trouble
You said, I
picking.
think it's
because you guys no. No, I think it's Box of Dark Roses.
Yeah.
That's my pick too, to be fair.
All right, let's call it Box of Dark Roses.
I
Chat
will
Pile is
say-
a close second for me.
I am actually stuck between Mope Grooves and Inspirex.
Oh, okay, well,
But
nah.
the three of y'all can just steamroll that sort of.
I'm stuck between Chat Pile and Mope Grooves, although I think I am going with Mope Grooves. Ultimately, like, this is maybe a silly reason, but Chat Pile doesn't need, like, the win. You know what I mean?
Mine is their ability to build that nuance with your like community and the people in front of you and stuff. For
That's
the
cool.
grooves.
Yeah. Also, the album just bangs. It's
It's
Yeah.
also good as hell, by the way.
I mean, there is
a lot. But...
anger in there, and it goes somewhere. In Cool World, it just kind of sits with you still.
Yeah, Mope
kind
Grooves
of
is
more
like beautiful and catchy and still accessible but experimental. It's kind of not only does it check all the boxes, it goes beyond that and does something that most albums do.
I feel like Mope Grooves is very experimental too. We didn't really talk about the instrumentation when we were talking about the album, like 5 minutes ago.
There's some tracks of it that are extremely abstract,
Yeah.
and then some of them that are just straightforward indie-tronica.
I think a lot of it, some of the instruments were like very improvised. I know that the artist talks about
for
like
sure.
writing like main parts and then letting friends just kind of like jam on top of it. And I think that really builds the sort of collaborative nature of the album.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I think it's a good.
That's fair.
I think it is. I think where I want messaging, maybe within this vein to go. I think.
We should do an investigation on how often the last album wins. I'm serious, 'cause there might be a slight recency bias. Not that like really matters, but
still,
maybe good stuff just comes out at the end of the month.
True. I think I remember.
I'm gonna run the numbers.
Yeah, we'll do some independent research. We'll do an independent
earlier in the year,
investigation
we
of
had like
ourselves.
the first one come out.
What?
Earlier in the year, I'm just remembering.
She's trying to remember 1 week where.
Yeah.
March 8th.
Yes.
Well, congratulations to Mope Grooves. Do we
Yes.
want to talk about our honorable mentions, or do we want to talk about the Grammys?
I have one more honorable mention.
Okay, let's talk about honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I need to talk about the album that I have hands down listened to the most this month. Not this year. This month.
This year already, you're racking up those
You already know
streams.
who it is. It's Cartoon Darkness by Amyl and the Sniffers. This is a fucking banger album. I've really enjoyed it. Last time we talked about it, I said I listened to the singles leading up to it. I've had a chance to go back into their catalog. Of course, their first album, I was like, oh, I know like 3 of these songs.
Yeah.
They've just played ambiently in my life, I guess.
You're welcome. What's wrong with me?
It was they're just so cool, and they're getting a lot of good attention on this record. And I think for good reason. It's so unapologetic and so noisy and riot girly.
Yeah, maybe this is just me, but I feel like this is like a breakthrough record for them. I feel like I've just seen them everywhere this album cycle, which is awesome. And especially like so much praise for Amy Taylor, who is amazing. And if she wants to hang out, I'm free on Thursday. And great
She
stuff.
wants to hang out when I'm free. Super fun. We actually went to a Halloween party where one of the House Bands was doing a cover set of Amyl and the Sniffers, and it was super fun.
Yeah. Side note, that's a really fun thing that the Philly scene does. I don't know how many other local scenes do that, but I'd never heard of this. But like they do these Halloween shows where every band shows up in costume as another band and does a cover set.
I went to a show like that in Vegas once.
Yeah,
so
yeah, we had.
It's a really cute idea. It's like widespread here. I saw posters for.
Oh, cool.
I mean, we went to one, but I saw like posters for all sorts of them.
Yeah, they did Amyl, they did Lana Del Rey. Like,
Yeah.
it was cool.
It was cute. I liked that idea a lot, and it was fun. Honestly, that was my introduction to this band, and our friends covering this band did a good job. Yeah. I don't know if I like this band, but
What? No, I think you would. I think you would like
no,
them.
I think I would like it. I just don't know if I like it. I haven't listened to it.
The energy was very representative, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it was great.
And do we get those tickets to see them?
Yeah.
Yay!
We're seeing them in May.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I have like a lot, but I'll just pick one or two to really. The new Godspead album.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, yes.
Obviously, almost goes without saying, but it's no title as of February, and then it's a death toll in the Gaza war on a certain date. It's it's a kind of a return to form to them. If you got exhausted by Godspeed's just like self-indulgent grandiosity in their post-reunion years, this album will get you back to liking them. It's very emotionally impactful without being over the top and TV commercially in its vibe. It doesn't sound like a soundtrack. It sounds like its own thing. And it's Godspeed has been warning us about American imperialism for literally since they started, and they made an album about the Iraq War before the Iraq War even started, because it was kind of obvious where things were going if you were paying attention. Mm-hmm. So these guys just have a finger on the pulse. This was absolutely a topic they could speak to very eloquently, and they like the title of this album suggests, it's almost impossible to like talk about this in a way that does it like that kind of encapsulates how awful it is. But I think this is pretty much the best you could do. I thought it was a very respectful rendition of resistance to what's going on. And then if I were to pick one other one from here, it would be Babe Terror. Let me get the name of that one, because it's
Gualapagouse.
because the name is a bunch of nonsense. It's Pescadou, Gualapagouse, which I couldn't find any translation from any language for. It's a really unique album. I don't normally go for jazz, especially not free jazz, but it has its idea. It basically is to take a snapshot of a place and all of the music through all time that has impacted that place, and just overlay all of that music on top of each other in the way that a city's skyline is a complete work of art assembled over decades from completely different styles, unintentionally adding to each other. I guess that's the quickest way I can sum it up. It's all of these different musical forms just layered on top of each other, and sometimes they clash and sometimes they don't, and it's very cool, and I liked it.
Cool. I'll have to revisit that one. I don't think I gave that a proper listen, especially with
awesome.
the
It really
the
like
context.
works.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll say my honorable mention is How Could I Be So In Debt by Tombstone Poetry. This was a very pretty kind of country western and Midwest emo crossover. A few people say this reminded them of Wednesday or of MJ Lenderman, whose name I hope I am pronouncing correctly. But this is a good example of someone kind of in the underground who's doing it. This act is also from North Carolina, and I think all of the proceeds of the record are going to support hurricane relief efforts, which are still direly needed.
And people kind of left that story behind. But
Yeah.
still
I mean, there's just, it's like the news cycle. We don't have to get into it. But this was a great record. Even if you aren't a huge fan of like country music, this might help you change your mind. All of the songwriting is really touching and heartfelt and heavily emotional, as you might expect from either emo or country genres.
You can always tell which one Kaylin's gonna pick because it's the one video they did every month.
Yep, I did too.
All
You're
right.
welcome. I also did. Well, sure. I also did Anthropocen by Jarzmo.
Okay, nice. All right,
We'll
yeah,
just
now
slide
we're
into that
adding
one.
into that.
Yeah. Anthropocene is another kind of. They described it as a pre-apocalyptic concept album that kind of fuses Polish traditional music and like doom metal. I think I interpreted it as having like a metal influence. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, or if
think it has a
intense
metal-
folk music just kind of does that.
I think it has a metal ethos if it doesn't have a metal aesthetic.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue either way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a great record too, especially if you want to find out what Polish folk music sounds like if they made it really good. Cool.
Hell yeah.
Julia, do you have
I'm
anything?
sure it's really good. I'm sure Polish folk music doesn't just like suck.
No, but you think Polish folk music and you're like, oh, okay, like polka, I guess, but it's like, no, actually, it can.
Polka was German.
Oh, Ufta.
There's probably cross cultural.
I think there's a little
think-
bit.
I
Is
think
it
They drink
Germanic?
Polka
Germanic.
is Polish.
It's called
Is it?
polka.
It's called polka, I guess.
Polka.
Well, I think oompa stuff when I think German. I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know enough about.
I don't know anything about it.
Let's have an argument, but we
completely full of
both have minimal
Yeah, nobody
information.
knows what they're talking about. I guess it would actually, you know what? Because polka would, if it was Polish, would make sense because of the name. But
Right.
But their name
Right.
for themselves is Polska. Anyway, I don't know.
Right. Anyway,
I don't know, man.
Anyway.
my
Yeah.
honorable mention, just because I think it's fun, is Un Conversation avec by Victime.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
pronunciation.
I speak French.
Oh, you on that
actually don't.
Duolingo grind?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just girl-fronted, noisy, no wave. And it was cool and I liked it. It's just
Nice.
a fun listen
Yeah.
overall. And I'm sure it has some interesting things that they say that I don't
I
understand.
use Google Translate to try to figure it out.
Yeah, I haven't
As
gotten
close
that
as
far
can
yet.
get you.
Are the lyrics on their Bandcamp page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
I just,
and
you know.
and it's very it talks a lot. I think I kind of glossed over this on the weekly pod where we talked about it, but a lot of it is about how stifling the patriarchy is,
Hell
not
yeah.
through its direct regulation of you as a non-man, but it forces you to self-regulate in a
Right.
way that is really dehumanizing.
Tell
And
me
that's
about
what
it.
I'm
And like taxing over decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So
They were right.
Yeah, it's about covert self-regulation.
That's why I opted out. I'm all better now.
Believe it or not, it's
affected
more
by
of like a
patriarchy.
system that, yeah, anyway, okay. Anyway.
Julia's French-speaking abilities are incredible, off the charts. You
Sacre
should have seen us
bleu.
walking around Montreal and her trying to pronounce all the signs that she saw.
I was like, stop.
we were probably just making complete asses of ourselves in front of all of the locals.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho.
Anyway.
Very that.
It's like, je suis American.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Are we ready to talk Grammys?
Yes.
Nominations dropped like yesterday.
Yeah.
I know
let's
this is
just
what
really go.
everyone wants to hear. Our underground music critic.
I'm not
I
gonna
know.
lie. Hey, for
On the
anyone
Grammys.
watching this, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna write all of these in the description because you've
No.
heard of Beyonce before.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Go look up the list on your own, and you can follow along with us.
CBS News has a great, concise list.
Yeah.
I actually did write a review for New Blue Sun, which was nominated for Album of the Year.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wrote
Andre
a review
3000.
for that. That is on our website. You can go
That's
read
one of-
it.
That's probably the most experimental pick on here,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
which is cool.
It's great. If you
album.
haven't listened to it, it was accurately hyped. Everyone's just like, "Oh, the flute album," but there's a lot more than just
Yeah.
flute.
Guys,
They need to shut the fuck
I
up.
think Taylor Swift has a lot of seniority and a lot of she's prolific, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But I don't people didn't like that album.
I don't think people
didn't
like that
this
album.
It's
I
not.
mean, Swifties like anything she does.
I know.
I
but,
even
like,
saw Swiftie say this was not
is
her best
flop.
work.
Yeah. This like.
Yeah.
So why?
Well, it's gonna get on there no matter what.
Yeah, but I'm just like, come on, man.
I don't know who Jacob Collier is.
I was about to ask if anyone has ever listened to
I've
that.
read his name on my phone.
Now that I've said the
about-
name out loud, Jacob Collier, I'm like, yeah, I think I've heard that, maybe.
Wait, we also talked about Brat, by the way.
Oh, yeah, well, we talked about Brad
But
extensively.
you had to,
extensively.
yeah.
We did
Yeah,
write a
yeah,
review
Brad was
for
kind
it,
of
though,
everywhere.
right?
Yeah, Julie did
We
a
did.
video on it.
Oh,
Yeah. A
Or-
quick little review.
Chapel
on it.
Roan, as we said before we started recording,
Yeah,
one
that
of
you
the
guys didn't hear at
earliest
all.
picks
Yeah,
that they've done, I think, for
one
the
of
Grammys.
the earliest picks from the prior year
Right.
in Grammys history.
You know, I'll say it, though. I kind of hope she wins.
I think she
It
could.
would be far from the worst album.
I don't, I mean,
Yes,
I
think so.
I'm not
She's
a
not the
Chapel
worst
stan. I haven't listened to this album. I'm probably not gonna listen to this album.
But if
Actually,
she
wait.
wins, I'd be like,
I'd be like, yeah.
I thought about it for 2 seconds. I'm all in. I really want her to win because I want to see what her speech is. Because it's probably just
me
gonna be
too.
like unrehearsed, like
Fiona Apple.
fucking fuck. I don't like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I think she's fine on her feet. I think
Well,
she,
I know, but
yeah.
she's fine on her feet, but she's very like snarky and honest.
Yeah,
I
she's
think that's good.
I hope she goes up and does what Fiona Apple did in the 90s and talk about how fame is a poison.
Mm-hmm.
This whole award show thing is a scam and like
Yeah.
it's politics and all of that. So I can see her being very eloquent if she prepares something.
Right.
No.
I'm
know.
sure she will.
When people don't prepare something, I'm like, you knew you were nominated. You knew there was a chance. When they're gonna,
mean,
well,
no,
I had no
like,
idea this
I'm
was
sure-
gonna happen. You were
I
nominated
understand.
beforehand.
I understand if you're like, okay, but all these picks are just so much better. Maybe I don't know.
No, but
If it's you versus Beyonce,
no.
if it was me versus Beyonce, I'd be like, no way.
it is.
Yeah.
It is cool that Chapel Roan just comes across as like a completely normal person.
Right, yeah, filter, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, we need
Because I think she is.
Like,
I mean-
Chapel Roan is like what your average person would be like if they just became famous.
People
Right,
people
and that's the
watched
thing, it's
her reach fame like over like TikTok. Like she went from just like somebody that would post videos and like there's recordings of her singing in front of like a church or something.
She reminds me of like Halsey, but like her entire career arc like sped
but
up.
like a good singer.
well, yes,
and,
yeah.
like,
No, I
yeah.
didn't mean any shade
with,
by
like,
that. That was another thing.
Fun and interesting music.
But I
maybe.
just mean had that like personal connection to people on social media because I
Yes.
follow
Yes.
like Halsey's
Yeah.
Tumblr and she's just like
Right.
on there
Yeah,
and
I can
like
definitely see
making
that.
posts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing in the shopping mall, but
Oh, God.
Chapel singing at a
That
church.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Where are you?
I think we hope anyone but Sabrina Carpenter wins. I think is
Pretty much.
or whoever the fuck Jacob Collier.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know and we don't care. Yeah, those three.
No.
Who are the other two? It's Bratton. Chapel.
And Big.
Beyonce could win because I want to see all the country bros get pissed when Cowboy Carter
Michael's
wins.
big ass head. Is
And Billie Eilish is great too. She's a wonderful young talent.
I think Billie Eilish is immensely talented. I didn't listen to the album.
Yeah, neither did I.
Is this her
singing's
blonde
great.
era before she?
No, I think she's done with. I think this was when blonde was
Post-blonde
over,
era?
right? Because I think the
Girl, I don't
blonde
know.
one came out already, right? I don't
Like,
know, man.
yes.
I think she is blonde. She just wears wigs, guys.
Song of the year, not Shabuzi.
Not Shabuzi.
Not Shabuzi. I had to listen to this song when I was working on Broadway, not on Broadway, off Broadway in Nashville, every day, multiple times a day. And I wouldn't wish that type of torture on my worst enemy.
Is it when she left? I'm sorry. What's the line?
I think, is this the song
It's
where it's
a
pour me
bar
up
song,
another
Tipsy.
shot of whiskey?
Yeah, it's tipsy.
Pour
Right?
up another
Yeah,
shot.
yeah. that's
Everybody
gotta be
in
it.
the
That's
pub.
gotta be
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
God.
Yeah, that one's annoying.
Fortnite.
No, I think it's great. I love that more people of color are able to make country music, but
that particular song.
it's the whole genre of like pop country
Yeah.
that is so like grating to me.
I will say though, as far as pop country goes, it's not the worst one. But
It's not the worst one. And it's like exactly the song you want to hear if you're like a frat
if you're
boy.
already fucked up on Broadway.
Yeah.
You're like, this is my song.
You're like, yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, pour me another shot of whiskey.
Genuine opinion. I hope Kendrick gets the song of the year.
Yeah,
I was
gonna
about to say. I was about to say. I
Yeah.
hope Not Like Us wins.
I hope this song goes the whole fucking distance.
Somebody,
I hope it wins.
somebody was playing it out loud on their phone while I was on the bus home today.
Oh my god, that happened.
Like-
that happened
Numbers up.
like right right after it came out, it was like a full month of it was the only thing you heard in Philly.
Bumping in the
beautiful.
cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing.
I have never liked Drake, so this song has brought me so much joy.
Nice. Yeah, I hope he
Drake.
wins. I hope that it
I-
wins everything it's nominated for. It's in like 4
I
categories.
hope Kendrick wins everything, and every one of his acceptance speeches are "fuck Drake," and then he does the same thing on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I just want nonstop.
He should reveal another child.
Well, he revealed a child that was fake.
That was actually fake.
and nobody cared because it was hilarious.
Yeah. Drop the Addy now.
I think he needs to just do another diss track that no one really asked
No.
for, but just do it again.
We would listen. We would be
Yeah.
like, oh, this is all new information.
Okay.
The
That-
record, okay, the song that they picked from Brat to do record of the year for was 360.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
that makes-
crazy. No, I think it should be 365. I
Oh,
think that's
sure.
much more representative of the era.
Which
and
okay,
the-
I'm an idiot. Which one's first? Which one's
360
is the opener song.
I think 360 is good.
That makes
I think
sense.
360.
Yeah. It's the
But-
first time, yeah.
I
But
just
why
like
not?
365 more. That's all I'm saying.
But aren't
And I
there
feel like
better
it's more
songs on the
representative of the album.
But aren't there better songs on the album?
There's Von Dutch. Everything is romantic.
Yeah.
But I feel like those are like the
360 is I'm Everywhere, I'm So
front
Julia.
runners.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's
like
that's
I-
like
I can see that. And the music video popped off too. People really
music-
liked the music video for 360.
Yeah.
And it was the lead single, so I get it.
Yeah, okay, maybe
365
that's
is
the
a
best
great
one.
like closer for the album.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
feel
not
like, no, the whole
like-
arc of this song I think is more representative of the album and the era.
Yeah, and that's true. However, I think
I think it
360 is still representative of the album.
If it was
in a
me,
way.
if they handed me the ballot this year,
Okay.
it
Like I
would
said,
be
if they asked me.
it would be Girl So Confusing. I think that's I think that's a good encapsulation of the album's sound. It's not too much of a banger and it's not too much of a downer. Whatever. Anyway, Not Like Us is on here again.
Can we talk about the Beatles also getting a nomination for
Beatles
Record
is
of the
crazy.
Year
How
in
the fuck does that even
2025?
happen?
Yeah.
Are they still finding shit that band made
I think so.
back when they were jacking each other off in Liverpool?
Literally.
It's probably just like a remaster of a
I'm sure,
remaster
man. If that
of a
wins-
live
The
performance.
Super
if that
double
wins,
ultra
it's gonna
deluxe.
Yeah.
There will
They
be.
can't
there will
win.
be-
It's not gonna win.
They just have to
Um,
add to the number of
I-
nominations on their Wikipedia page before they all die.
I feel like Espresso might win that category,
I think so.
but who
I
knows?
think it could win.
Yeah,
Record of the
Espresso
Year.
could definitely win. Is it on here?
Again, it was
Yeah.
all over the
Espresso,
place.
Yeah, it could definitely win.
Please be Kendrick Lamar. Please, God.
Best new artist.
Best
Doechii.
new artist.
Love
the Doechii album was
Doechii.
good. I liked it.
It was wild to see Khruangbin on here. I was like, huh? Why Khruangbin? They've been around
for like 30 years.
It just doesn't matter.
It
Did they
has
blow
to
up
do-
last year? I didn't.
I can't remember what the metric is, but it has something to do with like the release of like your first album, but it might be your first album that hits a certain sales
Right, I think it's a
number.
comparative to
Yeah.
like sales or
Because
streams
Chapel
or
Roan
something.
has made albums before this.
She's also
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
around for like
and
a
so is
decade.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Sabrina
Yeah,
Carpenter's been around a long
Doechii.
time.
So yeah, and Doechii as well. So I think it might be your first to go gold or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the thing is, but it's always a bit of a head tilt. This category. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm
it just
all
needs
of
like
these
a
people-
rename. It needs to be
But
Best
again,
breakthrough
That's how it
artist.
reads.
But again, as a person in the general public who doesn't really seek out music, they would recognize the names Sabrina Carpenter and Chapel Roan as new artists in 2024.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting.
I think
it
Khruangbin
goes more
is-
to like the. I don't know, just the variety of scenes and like stuff that people are involved
Yeah,
in. It's-
yeah. But
it's
the
really
more plugged
interesting.
in you are, the less sense this category makes.
Right, yeah.
I think it's likely to either go to Sabrina or Chapel.
Yeah,
and I
probably
think it's
so.
most likely it'll go to Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah.
I hope Doechii gets it though. I love her.
Yeah,
Her
that'd be the good
album,
ending.
Alligator Bites Never Heal, was great. It's also nominated later on in this list. I don't think we're gonna go through every category
Yeah.
because
No,
there's
Producer
no
of
reason.
the year doesn't matter.
Skip,
producer,
whatever.
songwriter.
I don't know these people.
Vocal
Jack
album,
Antonoff is
it's all the
probably
same
on here.
shit.
More
I
like
don't care.
jacking me off.
Best
pop solo performance.
I don't care.
It's
Same
all
song,
shit we already.
same
except
artist.
they picked Apple instead. on the
Okay,
chart.
cool,
Yes.
cool. Maybe they should get
Dance
one for that
pop,
one.
Okay, we're
The
getting.
The Boy Is Mine,
Best
cool.
dance pop. Let's go to the
Alternative
genre ones.
music
Okay, best
album.
dance electronic. Brat is gonna win.
Yeah.
Best rock album. Fontaine's DC is on here. That's cool. I
That's
hope they
cool.
win.
Idols is on here too.
And then Idols and Jack White and Pearl Jam. Again, really Pearl Jam, Jack
and the
White.
Rolling Stones.
Pearl
That's so
Jam,
funny. I forgot they
Jack
had an
White,
album come out.
The Rolling Stones and Green Day.
Green
If
Day.
any of those
Ew.
four win, I'm actually killing myself on camera.
Oh.
I won't wait. Jack White? No, it'd be fine if they gave it to
Fuck
Jack White.
No.
Fuck Jack White. Him and his people ruined my city, and I had to move.
That's actually true.
Jack White ruined Nashville? I don't think
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
He's Third Man.
Yeah.
What's
the
wrong
White
with Third
Stripes.
Man?
It's
I like Third
fucking-
Man.
It's fucking crunchy,
Third
shitty music.
Man,
Chorus.
kill yourself.
I've been to Third Man Records for many shows, and it's been
We
wonderful.
went to one for a live show. They did it live to vinyl. That was cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also like the tour. I understand what Michael's saying if he's from there. Like,
Yeah. He was
Oh
the
my
image
God.
of, like, if you go to East Nashville, you might see Jack White at a show.
Isn't that better than like the Broadway alternative though? At least he's like doing something
mad
to
at all of
bring
it.
like
Like-
not shitty
like,
country music.
Sure.
but
Cool.
he can't be the option. He's the
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
Well, that's not his fault that he's the only cool person.
I don't
in
want him to
Nashville.
He's
get a
not
Grammy
cool.
for it.
He's not cool. He's not
I don't think
cool.
he's
I'll say
as
it.
I don't think he's as cool as he thinks he
He's
is.
not a good curator.
Which
He's
makes
not a
him
good
not
label
cool.
manager.
I think he's a good
not
curator.
great musician. He's an okay musician.
He's a pretty good musician.
I just think anything like because what I think about whenever I think of Third Man, I think of AAA like adult contemporary alternative, and that shit makes me so mad because it asks nothing of you. You can be your fucking like all those people live in Franklin, like fucking drive Mercedes, and they're like, oh, I'm countercultural because I listen to fucking whatever they put out.
You don't like Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, it's like garbage. Doesn't ask anything from the listener. I'm sure there's some good albums that he's put out. You can probably come at me and give me examples, whatever. I just hate what it culturally did to Nashville. The fact that that was the, like Carrie said, the alternative to Broadway.
I do know.
Fucked.
I do know that we know someone who really likes Jack White,
Right.
and
Worst person
I
ever.
understand
Right, yeah.
now that
We'll go
I
unnamed.
am thinking about
It
your
brings a really bad-
experiences.
a really
I
ugly, bad
understand.
element to the city.
I understand where you're coming from.
Best melodic rap performance.
I still don't think Jack White's that bad.
Beyonce should probably win that. I hope
Yeah, I think
if
Beyonce
if
probably
Future
wins.
and Metro Boomin win, it's over.
What?
Best.
Wait, isn't Metro Boomin from Memphis?
Probably, but Future sucks.
Okay.
Best rap album.
Doechii again, please.
Cole.
Yay.
Yeah.
Give it to Doechii.
Not anyone
Please
but
give it to
Eminem.
Doechii.
And then I'm like, yeah.
Best country album. Beyonce would be so funny. I really want Beyonce to win
I think
that.
so too.
Yeah.
If Post Malone wins, it's the worst possible timeline.
Is he doing country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Oh,
I'm just
That's
out.
like he's
I
hanging out with
so-
Morgan Wallen and shit. That's like the new.
What the fuck?
duo. Yeah, that's the sound over
Best
there.
country song,
Jelly
Tipsy's
roll
definitely
shit.
gonna win.
Yeah,
There he
unfortunately.
is. There's Jelly
What
Roll.
if Jelly Roll wins?
That would
go
be
Jelly Roll.
Would that be cool? I don't really know anything about this
Best
guy.
Americana album.
Charlie Crockett's up.
I
Hell
hope
yeah.
Waxahachie wins for
Oh.
Best Americana album.
Yeah, sure. Sierra Farrell's great too.
Yeah.
Charlie Crockett is amazing.
Yeah.
I love.
This is really the fuck all the country categories. We should have just gone straight to this.
I'm just going back to when I heard that album the first time.
Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful.
Okay, and then we're
Okay.
into soundtracks and musical theater. I think we're good.
Great,
But
great. Well, we're probably not gonna talk about the Grammys ever again. So
Right, I
hope
mean,
you
that's
guys
what's going
enjoyed
on.
our
Wait,
commentary.
I want to go to alternative. That
Guys,
Dude, it's like
Join our
whatever,
Patreon
man.
so we can
We
do the
scrolled past it.
Grammys
Yeah, we
watching
did.
party together.
girl.
Hello? No?
Best alternative: Cage the Elephant, Nick
You.
Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Sure.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Fontaine's DC.
Again, Kim
Saint
Gordon.
Vincent, whatever.
I
didn't listen
Did
to
anyone
Saint
listen to
Vincent.
Kim Gordon's album?
People really like this Fontaine's D. I might even be saying the name wrong, but Fontaine's DC.
Fontaine's DC is right.
People really like it, and I've listened to it, and I think it's fine. And if that's the wave, cool.
Hell yeah.
That's my.
I'm curious how they parse out alternative compared to rock. I'm sure it just depends on what
It's-
category you submit to, but how did Fontaine's DC get in both then? Are they not nominated for both Best Rock and Best
Yeah, I think they are.
Alternative?
Yeah, I think they are. I think alternative doesn't have to be rock. I think that's the difference. It can be like an alternative R&B album.
Those are all like alt pop or alt rock
I know
albums.
that's
so-
what it always is.
Okay.
but,
Well,
yeah.
well. They're not going to invite us to the Recording Academy anytime soon.
Please put me on the red carpet.
we
Let's
should-
ask
Somebody-
them
hey,
questions.
if you are a gold or platinum selling artist, put us down as producers. Don't give us any money. But if you write us down as people who helped produce even one song, I think we're allowed to vote in the Grammys.
Ooh.
We're in the academy.
So if you
And pay us
think
if
your
you
next album's going gold, No, don't pay us. Don't give us any writing credits. Don't give us any responsibility over the songs. We don't care. We just want to be able to vote in the Grammys.
I want to present. They should let me present.
Yeah. That's where we're headed for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into live show production.
All right.
Cool.
Well, thanks everybody. This
Thank
has
you
been
for
great.
Thanks,
Check it
guys.
out.
And congratulations once again to Mope Grooves and their album Box of Dark Roses.
Yeah,
for
incredible
winning.
work. It's if your baby brain pulls it up and it's like 90 minutes long and it freaks you out, don't worry, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Listen to it in parts if you must.
If you have to.
And
All right.
honestly, it doesn't feel that long.
No, it's
Doesn't.
great.
It's good.
All right.
They did it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.